Welcome to the Wilderness Podcast. We're coming in with a bit of somewhat of an emergency podcast, somewhat of a all about, somewhat of a Trey Takeover. I'm not really sure what this is, but I am your host for tonight, Trey, and I'm joined by our beloved returning guest, Mitty. How you doing, Mitty?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
It's as far as RuneScape goes, it's been a very interesting day. We had to stall our recording about 5 minutes because I was getting my Elite Fremnick diary, which was, well, very exciting, but I won't talk too much about that. But this morning I saw some rumblings and I saw that there was a blog post out with, once again, my favorite three letters in this game, QOL, quality of life, a big poll about some potential quality of life. And I opened it up, and when I saw what it was about, I immediately messaged Dills and I said, we have to record a podcast immediately about this. This is crazy. And then Dills said, oh, that's a great idea. I can't do that. And so then I started looking for people, and I started messaging everybody, and they all said no. So then I decided to message Mitty, and here he is.
Yes, here I am. Always available, right?
That's right. This that consistent last resort. You gotta love it.
Hey, but I'm still here. That's all I gotta say.
No, I saw, in our Discord, I saw Mitty was definitely talking to some people. So I figured he'd have some opinions on this. I honestly, like I said, I'm pretty blind, and I've stayed off. I haven't watched any of the content creators. I haven't been on Reddit, but even avoiding all of that, I can still feel that everyone has opinions on this. So I don't think we've ever done, at least I've never done this type of, recording before, where I think I'm just going to read through this blog and, we'll talk about it as stuff comes up. So I guess just for some context, in case you're listening to this like a year from now, this is poll 84. So, Jagex will put these out. Obviously, they've done it 84 times now, where they just pull potential, not like big updates, just potential quality of life things. Obviously they sometimes quality of life, minor stuff, they just put it in. And actually, I've always said some of the biggest updates in the game have come from it's called the other changes section of the every week's update on Wednesday. And there's a little thing at the bottom that says other changes, and it's, it's supposed to be minor stuff, but we're going to find out very quickly in this blog that I think a lot of what's happening is responsible from a little other changes they snuck in a few months ago. We'll get right into it. I guess one other small thing is I got hit by a truck of allergies this morning, and I have been coughing and sniffing all day long. So if I sound like I'm plugging my nose, I do apologize, but the show must go on. We'll just get right into it. So like I said, I'm just going to start reading this blog, and we will pause when needed. And I guess, Mitty, if you ever just want to just completely interrupt me, feel absolutely free to do that.
Oh, I will.
All right. Poll 84 is packed with quality of life improvements, PVM tweaks, clue scroll upgrades, and more. Whether you're skilling, bossing, or just banking in style, we've got something for everyone. Dive in and help shape the next round of updates. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited already. Stackable clues.
right off the bat, just boom.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I have to pause here because literally in VC last night, I can't remember if you were on yet or not, Mitty, but I was saying, like, I'm starting to sense this pattern where I can feel these updates coming, where I'll see it on Reddit, like for the 20th time. I'll hear Sebe talk about it, and then I'll hear Tasty talk about it on Behemoth. And I feel like once those two people, like, they'll start repeating themselves. Like, I do enjoy Sebe, but you can tell, like, I feel like you can tell something's coming when, like, it's the third guest in a row that he's mentioned some kind of update to. And I'm like 0% surprised that this is here. But as with what I feel like I've said a lot recently with Jagex, I'm not surprised that they're doing this, but I'm surprised by how fast it's happening. So before we get into this is going to be a 5-hour episode. Before we get into this, like, what was like, were you expecting stackable clues to be coming?
Yeah, so I'm definitely a podcast connoisseur. So I love RuneScape podcasts. So I listen to a lot of different podcasts. So Save is one of the ones that I listen to. I do tune into some of his Twitch streams and listen to his rambles and things like that. And this is definitely something that has been brought up a lot by him. And I'm pretty much with you. Like once one content creator says it, then it gets on Behemoth, and then there's a clickbait thumbnail that says stackable clues coming to the game. 3 months from then,
Oh yeah,
something's gonna happen.
yeah,
So I do feel like it was kind of inevitable, especially with just sort of the responses that come from like leagues and stuff like that. Like people love stackable clues in leagues. They love that
yeah,
system, and so I'm sure that this is, it is geared towards everybody, sort of. But I'm sure that they get a lot of, their ideas from, just listening to what the community likes in different game modes and what they don't like. I'm not saying that like everything from leagues is going to come into the main game, but, just like certain quality of life stuff that, they might think is a good idea. Leagues is a place to try it out. So I don't really know, but I will say I kind of just saw this coming in the future.
yeah. Oh, for sure. All right, I'll get back into it. So, stackable clues. Stackable clue scrolls have been a highly requested feature for years, but they have also been one of the more divisive topics in the community. We know there are strong feelings on both sides, and we want to take a moment to explain how we got here, why we want to make this change, and how we'll ensure that it remains balanced for the future. I think that's a big ask. Let's see what they're saying. How did we get here? Picture this. It's March 2024. The birds are singing, the goblins are goblining, and we decided to change clue scrolls so they despawn after an hour instead of 3 minutes. Why? Well, a small but dedicated group of players had figured out a crazy method of juggling clue scrolls. It was niche, it was weird, but instead of breaking that little loophole, we thought, why not just make this official? Surely it won't spiral out of control. Spoiler alert, it did. So, just to pause again, so they introduced that they changed the despawn timer on clues, and once again, this was in the other changes section of a just a completely different update, and it flew under the radar. But then people started drawing attention to it, and yeah, the spiraling out of control. I mean, it is crazy. Like I know, like we just finished our bingo, and there were a lot of people who were stacking a lot of clues during bingo. It's against the rules to do it before bingo, but during bingo, people would they'd be like, okay, a big thing is people who work from home. They'd be like, all right, I was AFKing all day at work, and then they just send a screenshot, and they've got like 40 easy clues like all around the crafting guild or something. And yeah, it's so crazy that was the solution, because like I don't know, I just always found it to be so annoying. Like, you're like on a ticking clock, and like they're just dropped everywhere, and like you still have to ferry them. So like if you're in the catacombs and you're starting to get hard clues, you have to either make a stack there and then go back there every time you want to do your next one, or you have to like telly out, drop it close to a telly, and then go back. Which I guess both of those are kind of the same principle. You're having to move them very slowly, one at a time. So yeah, that was that is the current system, and that is what they are proposing to change now, I guess.
Yeah, so I'll kind of throw my little 2 cents in there, because I think I'm on the opposite end where I actually find it less annoying to juggle clues. I actually, not that I'm a huge like clue connoisseur, but but I do actually enjoy the juggling tech, and I know we're going to talk about it a little bit later about what scroll boxes are going to look like and things like that.
Whoa,
and,
scroll boxes!
Whoa! Sorry. But I actually like the current meta of how clues are done. I think it's pretty fair because an hour is a generous amount of time, and that's not like you have an hour from you drop it, then you log out, and if you're gone for 2 hours, the clue's missing. It's an hour of in-game time that you have to pick up your clue. So I don't think there's a single piece of content in the game besides like maybe mega scaled like chambers that you would get clues from that like would affect the juggling method. So, in my opinion, it was like a good. I mean, I know that they didn't really make this solution for like a bunch of clue hunters or anything like that. They said it was for a niche community that they thought this would be like a small quality of life for them. But me personally, I don't hate the clue juggling method as it currently is. But I will let you continue as well.
All right. So it spiraled out of control. The entire clue hunting community took one look at this and started juggling clues like it was their full-time job, which I guess for some of them it is. What was meant to be a small quality of life fix suddenly became the new sweaty meta, and before we knew it, our inboxes were full of complaints from players who hated clue juggling, but now felt like they had to do it to stay competitive. Play the game you want to play. You don't have to compete with other people. Lesson learned: just because something is less annoying doesn't mean it's not still annoying. Amen. We knew we had to do something about it. However, simply undoing the change felt like pulling the rug out from under players who had already adapted to it. Thus, instead of relying on inventory tricks and despawn timers, we're proposing a way for players to legitimately build a underlined limited number of clue scrolls. Introducing the scroll box. So I'm not a leagues guy. Did you do any leagues, Mitty?
I did not. I have not logged into a single league, so
Okay.
don't hate me, leagues enjoyers.
Well, from two people who don't do leagues, I understand that this is the scroll box. Is that exactly what it is in leagues, or was it? I don't know.
Yes, it basically is. It's a one item in your inventory that stacks up and has like a little number next to it for like the more clue scrolls you get. So it'll be like a hard clue scroll box or an elite clue scroll box or whatever it is, and it'll have like a number 1, 2, 3, however many you have in your inventory. But for leagues, I don't think it was capped. Maybe it was. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I would assume it wasn't. All right. Introducing the scroll box. Instead of juggling clue scrolls like a circus performer with scroll boxes, you'll be able to stack your clue scrolls in a controlled way. Here's how it works. If you've completed the quest X marks a spot, you'll start receiving scroll boxes instead of regular clue scrolls. If you haven't completed X marks a spot, you'll still receive standard clue scrolls. You can hold up to a maximum of 5 scroll boxes or 4 in one clue scroll. So I think so it's 5 boxes, and the box is holding. Well, I'm just gonna keep reading. Geodes, bottles, and birds' nests, they'll now give scroll boxes instead of loose clue scrolls. It's worth noting that this proposed system is actually weaker than the current juggling method, but it's significantly less annoying. You won't be able to stack dozens of clues for long grinding sessions, but you'll have a legitimate way to hold on to multiple clues without resorting to tedious inventory tricks. Sounds great, right? Well, hold on, because you won't be able to just stack clues for free. Watson says you got to earn them. Unlocking your stacking power. That sounds like something from like a VHS, like a workout VHS from the 90s. Unlock your stacking power. We know you're eager to hoard clues like a dragon sitting on a pile of treasure, but stacking clue scrolls is something you'll have to earn. Why? Because clue scrolls are special. That magical moment when you see your first clue drop, the rush of excitement, the dreams of untold riches, the immediate panic when it's coordinate step, shouldn't be lost in a pile of stacked scrolls. We still want newer gamers to feel that rush of it's treasure hunting time. However, once you've proven yourself to be a seasoned clue chaser, you'll unlock the power to stack clues like a treasure hunting pro. So how to unlock your stacks? To increase your stacking limit, you'll need to complete the following challenges. A, defeating the mimic. This will increase your clue scroll stack cap across all tiers by 1. That's cool. B, complete a set number of clue scrolls per tier. This would unlock additional stacking for that specific tier. Okay, so before I look at this box, I think it's one of those things that feels so obvious that I don't know how it hasn't been proposed, because a lot of people have said that it needs to be tied to diaries, or like even combat achievements, but that seems like super clean and obvious to just tie it to completing clue scrolls.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts on that?
I like how it's proposed currently. The numbers, I'm not entirely sure if I 100% agree with, but I do like how it is being proposed. It's per clue tier. You have to have a certain number of clue completions for you to get either one or two extra clues. So I like how it's proposed. I like how it's worded, and it does make a lot of sense not to tie it to like CAs or um, achievement diaries or anything like that, because it I don't think it really has anything to do with that. So yeah, I think this is a good proposal.
Yeah, so looking at this, I won't read every single number on the box. I probably will end up doing that, but looks like okay. So, uh, actually, I'm gonna skip this because they kind of explain it. So, think of it as leveling up your clue hunting skills. The more you engage, the better your stacking ability gets. We've slightly reduced the number for rarer clues like masters and elites, since we know these can be quite the grind, but we're always open to feedback.
So I'm gonna stop you
Uh,
right there really quickly.
okay.
So my one of my issues that I have with this current proposal is they word that right there. We've slightly reduced the numbers for rarer clues like masters and elites. The the elite tier is the exact same as the hard tier.
Yeah.
So they did not reduce the number needed for elites like they just said that they were going to. The masters are
Yeah, you're
reduced,
right.
but the elites are not. So I thought that was, I don't know if that was just an oversight or what. I will say, for those listening, I read the blog post when it first came out, like minute 7 or something like that. I got a little Discord notification, and it ended up working. I could read it during my workday for a second. And there were a bunch of typos in here. Like at the very beginning, they had said that the clue scrolls would despawn after 2 minutes instead of 3 minutes, and that's a pretty significant change. And so at first, I was like, "Nope, this is terrible. This is so bad." So I'm wondering if, like, I know that this is just a proposal of theirs, but I wonder if there's like potentially some typos with numbers, specifically like this one, is like a good example
Yeah.
of like I'd like to see elites be maybe the same as masters. So it's half of what uh, the hard clue tier is. So I think that would be fair. I don't think that having elites be the same as hard is is fair in any way, because I think elites are much harder than hards.
Yeah, there's a 99% chance that by the time this episode comes out, that will have been fixed, and we'll set the people will be like, I don't know what he's talking
Oh
about right
yeah.
now. But interesting. Yeah. I okay. Huh. Okay, so here's a quick example. So base level with no increases, you'll be able to hold up to 2 total clues. And I guess to clarify, because I didn't get this at first either, I'm guessing that is from each tier.
Correct. Yeah,
Um,
each tier.
and that's just after completing X marks the spot. This isn't without any of these increases. So you'll be able to hold 2 scroll boxes or a clue scroll in one box. So just two clue scrolls, which honestly is like that's enough to get through most Slayer tasks. Like if you're not doing Hellhounds or something, 2 clue scrolls. That feels about right. Which is I feel like a lot of the push for any kind of stackable clues, at least from me, has always been like, I just want to get through a full Slayer task. Um, which I'll come back to that. But anyways, okay, so that was base level. You have 2 total clues. First increase, you increases your capacity to 3. Second increase increases your total clue capacity to 4. And then the fourth step is defeating the mimic, unlocks an extra slot across all tiers, letting you hold up to 5 clues total, regardless of whether you've completed the other tier unlocks or not. This bonus is retroactive, so if you've already bested the Mimic before this update goes live, you'll get that +1 immediately. Unfortunately, I have not beat the Mimic on my Iron Man,
Oh
but
no.
I know, I
Time
know.
to get
Well,
to it.
I've done a total of 1 Master and I think 1 Elite, so I don't really deserve it, but um, okay. Addressing concerns. One key change we want to be upfront about is the reduction of clue scroll despawn timer back to 3 minutes. And this is the first time I did not realize this was happening. Because I think a lot of the talk has been if they introduced stackable up to 5. I feel like up to 5 or up to 3 has been what a lot of people have suggested. Then it was like, well, people are just going to do the dropping method like they have been. So I don't think anybody saw it coming that they would revert that change. So that's really interesting. And you said initially it said 2 minutes. Now it says 3 minutes. Was it 3 minutes before, or was it like 60 seconds?
It was 3 minutes before the change to an hour. So
Okay.
that is, yeah. So it was 3 minutes, like back in the day, like a year ago. I say back in the day, like it was a long time ago. A year is a long time,
Yeah.
but it was just a year ago that they made the change. And
Okay.
before you continue as well, I
Mm-hmm.
do want to hit on this. Another thing that I'm not a huge fan of. Well, okay, I don't know if you read this specific sentence yet. It's the next sentence, but um, they basically talk about how this timer is going to change whether or not this passes. So this is like a quality of life change that um, is going to happen regardless if stackable clues come in the game or not. So I am really not a fan of that specifically. Like if we don't find a compromise in the community, then it's just all gone. But yeah, yeah, I'll just leave it at that for now. If you have any thoughts on that,
Well, here, let me read that sentence
yeah,
just
yeah.
for context here. So, I'll start over. One key change we want to be upfront about is the reduction of clue scroll despawn timer back to 3 minutes. This will happen regardless of whether stackable clues pass the poll or not. We recognize this will be a controversial change, but after reviewing player behavior and feedback, we believe the 1 hour despawn timer led to an unintended and frustrating play patterns that weren't healthy for the game. Our goal is to ensure clue scrolls remain an engaging and rewarding activity rather than something that encourages excessive juggling or forces players into tedious inventory management. So, like, I think we just have to take a minute and it's crazy. And it's not just RuneScape, but it's happened so much in RuneScape. It's crazy that what Jagex is saying is basically you guys can't help yourself. You are your own worst enemy. If there's a meta, no matter how miserable it is, you will do it. And we have to like take take this out of your hands because it's being like abused and not like in a way that is making you unhappy. It feels like, it's like hiding your grandma's cigarettes or something. Like we're doing this to help you. So that is, yeah, it's just really interesting. Like that mindset that they're kind of putting out there, like we have to do this because you're hurting yourself. But yeah, that's I didn't realize that either. So they're gonna change that either way, which I mean, I get that. I definitely can see if you want to crank up the cynicism by 10%. It's like, well, they're doing that because that will ensure that this passes. Like it definitely kind of feels that way off rip. Because like if they're going to take that away, we have to have stackable clues. I mean, we can't go back to the hellish wasteland we had before where you could just have one clue at a time and you had to just immediately stop what you're doing and go do it. But yeah, I don't know. That almost I can see that. We'll just assume Reddit. We'll assume they're as cynical as they usually are. I'm sure there's a bunch of posts about how they're forcing us to pass the poll on this, but I don't know. Let me knock out this last little paragraph here. This is just the first step in improving clue scrolls. We want to refine the system to enhance your gameplay without making it trivial. We'll continue to monitor how this system plays out and make changes if necessary. But to be absolutely clear, we will not be increasing the stack limit beyond 5. This is a firm cap, and we have no plans to expand it further. So that's interesting because my first thought when I initially read that was like I was thinking of it kind of like a Slayer block list where it's like, oh, okay, so that opens up a reward space where like maybe if you have a quest cape, you get another cap on there and stuff, and it'll get up to 10 in the next couple years. But I actually think that's cool that they're, putting a firm, putting their foot down. This is, although that I can also see that aging very poorly. People are going to be riding in Falador if they ever change that. Remember what you said?
Yeah,
But
I think it's I'm not a hater of it. I like that they have their what they think is a good boundary and they're going to stick to it. I don't know if them specifically saying that before it passes changes anything. I think it should have been let's leave it up to the community to figure out what they think the right number is because they're just straight up saying we're not going to expand it further beyond five. And that's like again, no community consultation. It's a firm five is what you're going to get, so take it or leave it. And that's all you're going to get for the remainder of this game, according to them.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm
According to them today,
yeah,
we'll see
exactly.
what according to them looks like in the future.
Yeah.
But I mean, I will say I think five is the perfect number. Like between 3 and 5 is always what I've as much as I would have wanted. I mean, doing 5 of any clue scroll in a row is not what I consider fun. But I know that I'm a different person than a lot of other people.
Mhm.
Um, but I have been on the other side of it. Like on my main, when you have that bank tab for like a master clue, and you get it, your inventory is just full of all your different teleports and stuff, and you're just kind of in that mindset. You can go grind some out, but I mean, it's just the same as when you get a wilderness step and have to bank all your stuff. So I guess it doesn't really change it that much.
Yeah, I think for the most part it changes like the like super high tier clue enjoyers, like people that are
Mhm.
like top rank cloggers and all they do every day is clue because they have nothing else to do in the game. Like they've completed
Yeah,
everything. So I know that like
poor bastards.
so I know that this is gonna definitely affect them. And probably not so much the casual gamer. It'll probably be better for the casual gamer, someone kind of like you said who's doing a Slayer task. Oh, hey, I got 3 hard clues this Slayer task. Great, I don't have to
Yeah.
bank them or juggle them or do anything crazy. Um, but if you're like specifically grinding clues for something, I think it makes it a little um, not harder, but I mean it's less convenient to stack a bunch of clues on the ground. Now you have a cap of like a maximum of 5, and that's after you complete a bunch of clue scrolls of that tier. So I mean I see it both ways. Like I think it's a good change, and I think overall it's fine. Um, I'm gonna miss the hour-long timer though. I will say that is very nice.
I think to kind of cap off my thoughts on this section, I think I'll vote yes for it, especially if they're taking away the hour timer. Um, I think that tying it in with the number of clue scrolls is like the perfect solution. You like. I feel like you just know something is a perfect solution when you smack your forehead when you see it, and you're like, oh well, yeah, that's obviously what it should be.
Mhm.
And I'm a skiller at heart. And the reason why I love skilling in RuneScape over PVM, I love them both. But the reason why I love skilling so much is because you have a consistent, there's a consistency to it. You have a consistent progression. And, clues, part of the reason I dislike clues is because they're so RNG focused. You can do this clue and you get, a rune pickaxe and a magic short bow. And it feels like you wasted your time. But having that tied in with like, oh, at least I'm one step closer to that next tier, adds an extra, it makes it feel a little bit more satisfying, even if it's not a good clue. So I really like that aspect of it. So yeah, I probably would have been okay if this had never been a part of the game. I'm kind of assuming it's going to pass. I could see it not passing, but yeah, I think I think off rip, I'm leaning towards voting yes for this.
Yeah, I definitely will be voting yes, and the only reason for that is because they're taking away the hour-long timer. I
Yeah.
am. I kind of said this in the beginning. I think I'm harping on it maybe a little too much, but I'm not a fan of like this or that. Or, I mean, honestly, it's not even this or that. They're just saying, I'm taking this away whether you want it or not. And I understand that it's an integral change to the game, which I'm fine with. It just kind of sucks that they're not like, there's not an alternative that has passed yet. So, like, we're basically being forced to vote for stackable clues because the timer's going away like 100%. There's no saving the timer. Um,
Yeah, the poll is should these be added to the game, not should these replace the timer, or a separate question, should the timer be removed. It
mhm.
is, yeah, it's just this is a separate thing, but this other thing is going away. So this almost has to happen.
Yeah, I feel like it's forcing the hand of the people that enjoy the current tech. It's
Hmm.
basically just forcing you to vote yes because I'm taking this away. So if nothing replaces it, then you're going back to a single clue scroll that despawns every 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So and that doesn't feel good. So it's basically just forcing the player's hand, saying you're going to vote yes to this because there's no other alternative. And I'm not saying
Yeah,
that,
I
that they're
think
cynical when they're saying that. Like I don't think that's what it is. I think they realize that the stackable clues has been in the game for too long and it is kind of a broken tech. But it's just what they're currently doing, which just doesn't sit right with me. I'm not a huge fan of it.
yeah. Well, yeah, and I guess yeah, just my stance would be if it was question 1, should they be added to the game, I'd vote yes, and if it was question 2, should we keep the 1 hour timer, I would also say yes,
Hmm.
cuz yeah, it's not for me. I think the stackable clue will replace the 1 hour timer for me. But yeah, it's like maybe there are those days. Maybe it is during bingo and you're AFKing at work and you're doing wealthy citizens and you want to get 20 easy squirrels on the ground to knock out when you get home from work. And RuneScape is such a sandbox game. It's all about options. So it sucks that they're taking away an option in favor of another option, but also once again taking away grandma's cigarettes. Like they're saying that from their perspective, the current system is hurting the player base, and they want to. I mean, it almost feels like this is a project rebalance where we're saying like, okay, they are nerfing this, and this is their proposal to fix it. So yeah, I don't know. Um, we're gonna have to kind of see what going forward. One of the things that I'm very surprised about this, with how controversial this has been, there's no hot fix or notes at the top of this article of like all the things that have changed since they put it out. And it's been out for a good, like, what, 12 hours now.
Hmm.
Usually, I mean, all their, I guess it's not in the game, but usually they have a bunch of things that have already changed just by the initial wave of uproar. So they're sticking to their guns so far. Um, but let's move on to the next thing, because this, I mean, just the headline of this, I have not read anything besides the headline of this, but it just like caught me off guard. Anyways, we have skip tokens. Um, yeah, let me just, this is a pretty short, so I'll read this whole thing and then we'll talk about it. So, skip tokens. One of the biggest frustrations with clue scrolls is reaching a late step only to be hit with a task you can't complete or just really don't want to. Side note, that is master clues on an Iron Man. I was 7 steps in and got Bandos boots and had to drop it, and I cried. Some players resort to juggling clues to avoid these situations, which isn't exactly an engaging gameplay experience. To address this, we're introducing skip tokens, a new item designed to give players more control over their clue solving experience without removing the challenge entirely. Each clue scroll will have its own skip token obtained through clue scroll reward chests. These tokens will be tradable and stackable, making them a valuable commodity for players looking to streamline their clue runs. Here's how they work. Skip tokens allow you to skip a single clue step within a scroll. They cannot be used on the final step of a clue to preserve the integrity of the reward structure. A warning message will appear if skipping would complete the clue, helping to prevent you from accidentally wasting a skip token. By introducing skip tokens, we're offering an alternative to juggling while also adding a new tradable reward to clues. Whether you're an Ironman looking for a smoother clue experience or a merchant eyeing new profit opportunities, these tokens should bring both convenience and value to clue scrolls. Wow, that is crazy. I guess, okay, so first off, stackable clues, we both said we saw this coming. Mitty, in 100 years, did you ever see skip tokens coming into the game?
No. This was a complete. I was just like, do what now? Like I had to I actually reread it because I was like, there's no way this is. I read that correctly. Like you're talking about skipping an entire step in a clue. I was like, no, that can't be it. That's not what they're saying. It's got to be something else. Nope, it is a token that you can use to 100% skip a step if you don't want to do it, which is crazy. That is crazy.
So, okay, I legitimately, I'm reading this for the first time. Initial reaction, I immediately want to vote no to this. The tradable thing is wild to me. Like that just, so top tier clue hunters. I mean, for one thing, obviously there's already this huge chasm between iron clue hunters and main clue hunters. But this just sends it into the stratosphere. I mean, obviously, if you are a maxed main doing clue scrolls for 24 hours a day, money means nothing to you. And so the fact that they're, going to be expensive or whatever, I feel like isn't even like applicable. So like you can skip steps. It doesn't. So I guess what I'm confused about, I assumed when it said like, because they're talking about like frustrating steps in clues, I assumed that meant it would re-roll it, but it sounds like you're literally just skipping it. So could you get a clue and skip all of the steps into the last one and then go do that on like a freaking master clue?
I think that's what it's saying, but I truly hope that that's not what they're saying. I'm hoping that they again maybe just messed up the blog post and they forgot. Like, oh, oopsies, we forgot to say that you can only do it once per clue or something like that. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if. So the wording is kind of funky with that first bullet point. It says skip tokens allow you to skip a single clue step within a scroll. Does that mean that you can only skip one clue step per scroll? Is that how you read that?
Yeah, now that you point that out, it could be read that way, but it either, if that's what they mean, that needs to be clarified.
Yes, 100%. That is like,
Yeah.
I need to know if I can use this for a master clue, if I can use it 6 times, or if I can just use it once per master. Because I 100,000% agree with you.
Yeah. That's so weird. Yeah, because like I almost, like, they're talking about, like, I think the two biggest things that people want to skip is the items, the stash, I guess they call them the emote, steps, or the, well, I guess there are a lot of them, because then there's the Sherlock steps, the Fallow steps, and then the 3-part steps are all the ones that people, and then obviously there's the random, like, the Castle Draken one that just takes forever to get to, until the new Mauritania quest. But anyways, so because my first thought was like, okay, they're gonna have maybe you can skip a emote step, or you can skip a 3-part step or something. But yeah, it looks like it's just any type of step that you don't want to do. Like even if a master skip token is 1 mil each, that's still so broken. That's wild.
Yeah,
I'm like dumbfounded by this.
yeah, it makes it pretty crazy. Like even if it was 10 mil a skip, like it's still so ridiculously broken. It's not even funny. Like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, that's all I gotta say there. I think I have some like proposals on what it should be, but yeah.
No, that's great. That was going to be the next thing I said, is like, what would this look like to make you, because I'm assuming from what you're saying that you would be voting no for this.
Oh,
would you smash or pass?
Definitely pass. Definitely pass.
Okay, so what would it have to look like for you to go over to voting yes?
Instead of skip, be a reroll token.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would fix the issues that I have. So, like, let's say
just that.
Yeah, just that. Like, if instead of skipping the step, you re-rolled it and still had to do a step, I think that would definitely ease what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because it just means that you can bypass a terrible stepper. Like, let's say you're an Ironman and you don't want to get an Arma helm for the Foul of the Bard step. Okay, well, you can skip this one, and who knows, maybe 3 steps from now, you're going to get it again. So, like, there's always the potential of you re-rolling that step anyways. So, yeah, I think just making it a re-roll instead of a skip, I would be okay with it. Because then you're not really like the high tier clue hunters are not going to spend like 10 mil a token to re-roll to make sure they have the quote unquote fastest clue. Like I think it would take more time for them to re-roll for the perfect steps or whatever it is, rather
Hmm.
than just completing it itself. So yeah, I think
Have you ever seen those? Have you ever seen those spreadsheets for clues? That's
yes.
like time to complete each step.
Yep. Yeah, I have a triple step one open right now.
Oh
Actually,
wow.
yeah. So I had it pulled up. One of my bingo teammates sent it over to me, and so I have
I
it
think
pulled
that's where
up.
I saw it. Yeah, it was during
Mm,
bingo. Yeah.
yeah. So
Okay. So
okay.
I I think that like I think yeah, changing skip to reroll could probably be totally fine and fix this entire thing. I would almost even go one step further and have it reroll the same type of step because that could really add some interesting thing. Like you get Arma Helm on an Iron Man, you're like, I don't want to go get that, but if I reroll it, it might just be Bandos boots, and I don't want to go get that either. Um, which that almost teeters on. I don't actually. I don't think that teeters on it being completely useless. I still think that would be super powerful, but you know, because then if it's just a reroll, you can get into like, oh, I'm going to skip every. I mean, for one, no one will ever do a 3-step clue ever again if it's you can re-roll and it's just a completely different thing. But it's kind of at that point it kind of turns into Slayer where it's like, okay, you got that same thing of like, this is a task I don't want to do. I have 15 points, so I either risk it or play it safe and do the task I don't really want to do because I might get something worse. So yeah, I mean, then my crazy idea, this is a bad idea and this should never happen, but now I'm thinking about if you have a clue scroll step block list where you can have like seven clue scroll steps that you can never get again. That's I don't even like that as I'm saying it. Sorry, this is very off the cuff. All this we're talking about, but yeah, I don't know. That's gotta be. I mean, it's gotta be a reroll.
Yeah, it has
Skipping.
to be a reroll, and I personally think it still has to be one once per clue itself.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think you can't just keep re-rolling until you get the step that you want. I definitely don't think that you can just skip a clue until you get to the last step. I think that I mean this as it currently stands, this is a hard no for me until I get a
Oh yeah.
lot more clarity. And even when I get a lot more clarity, if it still says the word skip in it, I'm still probably gonna vote no, to be
And
honest.
I think another point to this is the stackable clues feels like it is improving the experience. But the skip tokens feels like it's that thing that I hate, which is like the mage training arena. Or no, what was that update? Anyways, it feels like something Jagex has done a lot, where it's like we're not going to make this bad experience any better. We're just going to make it faster and let
Mm-hmm.
you skip the stuff that's bad instead of fixing those things that are bad. Oh, it was the Chambers of Zarek initial pitch. It was basically like, we're gonna let you pick the rooms so you don't ever have to do the bad rooms. And then it was like, oh, what if we just make the bad rooms better? Um, so yeah, it's like, what if they just added a shortcut for Draken's Castle? What if they, made some of these annoying steps
Spoiler alert.
easier? Oh, really? Okay. Ooh, I did see. So one of the headlines was agility short. I love new agility shortcuts. Okay, so I just short tangent. I just did the Elite Fremennik Diary, and one of those steps is Dagon of the Kings, and I had summer pies from Phantom Muspa, and I got to, for the very first time on my iron, got to take the shortcuts to DKs. Chef's kiss.
That's like
Thank
one of the
God
best
for
shortcuts
those.
in the game. Oh, it
Yeah.
what a good QOL update. What a good
Okay.
QOL.
All right, you're teasing me with things I'm actually excited for. So, okay, looks like there's let me read this next. It seems, I guess there's more to this, and then we'll move on. Let me read this next section. So what this means for you. This update isn't about making clue scrolls easier, okay? It's about addressing past mistakes and refining the experience. Past mistakes. Anyways, the longer despawn timer led to unintended frustrations, and we're rolling that back while also introducing stackable clues in a way that keeps the gameplay loop engaging and rewarding. With stackable scroll boxes replacing raw clue scrolls, you'll have much more control over your clue inventory without relying on workarounds. Imagine you're deep into a Bandos or Next trip, and that clue scroll drops on KC number 1. Instead of interrupting your run, it'll now stack neatly, ready for when you decide to take it on. I guess a small thing with this, assuming that, this is going to replace the current meta. It does add an aspect of, oh, I'm going to go on a Bandos trip. I need to clean out my clue box real quick, which is kind of how clues have always been, but even more so now, because they're saying like, oh, you start your thing and you get it and you can store it. But if you've already got a full box that you've been putting off for a month, well, you probably don't want another clue scroll anyway. Maybe I'm canceling myself out with what I'm saying. Anyways,
No, I think you're right. I think you're right with that. Like, it makes you, like, if you know you're going to a piece of content that, like, elites are, like, common, then, like, you're going to want to go trade in all of your stuff, then go do your masters or do the elites themselves or whatever tier you're doing, and then go do the content that you want to do. Not saying that that's not how it is done currently, but I mean, like, with the juggle tech, like, if you're running tops with your team, you can just juggle the elites that you get, or like right outside the bank or something. Like, so I mean,
you could have 20 of them out there. You will regret it later when you have to actually do all 20 of them, but you could. Going back to it, skip tokens provide an additional layer of flexibility, acting as a tradable resource that gives players more agency in clue solving. They aren't a free pass, but they do add an extra reward space, something valuable for both clue hunters and those looking to trade. If you hit a step that doesn't fit your current plans, you'll have the option to skip it, keeping the momentum going while preserving the challenge. At its core, this update is about removing unnecessary frustration while keeping clue scrolls just as rewarding and as exciting as ever. The challenge remains, but you'll have more control over how and when you take it on. I just don't get how they keep saying it keeps the challenge when you can skip a step.
Yeah, I'm not agreeing with their wording there. It doesn't keep any challenge. In my opinion, it makes things a lot more challenging. Like, excuse me, sorry, I'll flip that. It makes it way easier. Excuse me, sorry, let me rephrase that. Yeah, this whole skip tokens just bypasses clues. Like, just straight up, you're not doing clues anymore. You're skipping until you get to the last step, and then you're completing the clue. I don't know.
We do need to move on, but let me throw one last thing. What if instead of changing it to reroll, what if it was just untradeable? Would that fix it completely?
Yes. Yes. My gut reaction says yes to that, because it depends on the rarity. Let me also say that.
Yeah. So I think a lot of this hinges on that.
Yeah. So if they balance it right, that could theoretically fix it.
It does seem like looking at a lot of they keep mentioning like trading and merching and stuff. So it really does seem like they're trying to not make this Ironscape. They're trying to give an update for people to merge. They want GP to be flowing. And I respect that in the sense of like that is a big part of the player base. There are mains still out there. I'm talking to one of them right now.
Filthy mains.
That part of it, it's like, and that also it would jack up the price of, like we're saying, like like it's like that thing where I don't even know what update did it, but like Narda teleports, you start getting these like 1 mil clue scrolls that don't even have anything interesting in them because of like these teleport scrolls. So yeah, I mean, early on, you could do a master with no uniques and have like it be worth like 10 mil because of these. So yeah, that aspect of it, I don't know. Yeah, I think just to put a button on it and move on. Change it, literally just find and replace the word skip with reroll and call it a day.
It
And
makes
then
me
I would vote
happier.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't love it still, but it's definitely better. And it actually would add an interesting, especially from an Iron Man perspective, where it's like, okay, I've got 5 of these. Do I want to blow one on this, or do I just want to go do this step?
Yeah, I think it's way
But
more
any,
interesting for irons. This is my last topic. I think it's way more interesting for irons than it is mains, because for mains it's just buy and skip. Whereas irons, it's like, this is a resource that I have. Do I use the resource now, or do I choose to use it later? I think it's like way better for irons than it is mains. It just is GP and
yeah,
mains at this point.
and I do think for probably the 99% of the people listening to this podcast, 99.9% of the player base, that decision space is still going to be there, because I'm guessing these are going to be very expensive.
Yeah.
And, if money is not unlimited like it is for, probably these high, we're talking about the 0.01% of, these, you know, play 16 hours a day, clue hunting streamers. There is still going to be that decision space of, this costs 1 mil. Do I really want to skip this step? Or I could just go to freaking Castle Draken. But anyways, so yeah, that's the clue scroll boxes and the skip tokens. My goodness, what a heater to start it off with. I mean, like it wasn't good enough to, I mean, stackable clues have been divisive, and I think they did it in a good way, but the skip tokens, my goodness.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, so let's look at the next section, and this is where like I started scrolling faster. I saw this at work, and I was like, all right, cool, new blog post. I'm gonna start reading it. I saw stackable clues, and I started reading it. I was like, oh my goodness. And then I saw skip tokens. I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And then I just started scrolling faster and faster. I was like, all right, I can't even take all this in right now. So this is where I started getting into real uncharted territory here. I'm very excited. So PVM reworks. We have, once again, absolutely no surprise. It was on Reddit. It was everywhere. Abyssal Sire rework. So just to catch, if you haven't listened to the past couple episodes, I'm only saying this just so I'm guessing this is exactly what they're going to do. But I said that I'm expecting the change to just be quicker animations and making Demon Bane weapons automatically max hit on the vents. So let's see what they have to say. The Abyssal Sire has always been a unique boss. But we recognize that its mechanics can feel a little outdated compared to more modern encounters. Our goal is to refine the fight while maintaining its core identity, making it more engaging and enjoyable without completely overhauling what makes it special. With that in mind, here are some of the changes we'd like to propose. Sire is currently untargetable during its transition phases, forcing players to sit and wait. We want to make it targetable during these phases to keep the action going. Yep. Sire's sluggish movement feels unnecessarily tedious. We'd like to increase its speed to match a player's run, reducing downtime between mechanics. That's going to be really funny day one.
Mm-hmm.
Just instead of lumbering around. I almost wish they would have made it instead of, I mean, I guess they're just saying it's going to move faster. I hope it's like, it moves like longer. It's just this big, long walk instead of like it starts sprinting around. The lung phase, I've never heard it called the lung phase.
Nope.
Anyways, the lung phase takes too long, dragging out the fight unnecessarily. We're looking into shortening it while still ensuring it remains a meaningful part of the encounter. We're planning on implementing a minimum hit of 50% of your weapon's max hit, which will allow in-game setups to more reliably one-phase them. Demon Bane weapons will also be able to one-shot these vents. To compensate for these changes and ensure the fight doesn't become too short, we will be increasing Sire's HP and introducing a 50% damage reduction during its transition phases. I almost had an aneurysm mid-sentence. This should help to maintain the challenge without forcing unnecessary downtime. These adjustments aim to stream the fight's flow while maintaining the challenge and rewarding nature of the encounter. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the following. Mitty, I would love to hear your thoughts on the following.
So, I like where their head's at. I think it's actually fine, to be 100% honest with you. I am not a huge Sire connoisseur. I think I have maybe 100 something KC on my account. Um, so it's not super beneficial for like more end game mains. It's just not that good of money unless you're pet hunting. So I haven't really done Sire in a long time. It's been like probably at least a couple of years since I've done Sire. Um, I mean I like the changes. I think making it to where you can attack him during the transition feels good. You're constantly doing stuff during the boss fight, and you're not just sitting there twiddling your thumbs for like 15 seconds, or maybe it was 10 seconds. It was a long time, I felt like. Um,
Mm-hmm.
then the one-shotting the vents with the Demon Bane weapon. I think we kind of all saw that coming. Like that's a a good change, and it makes it you know more chill, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if we did they not include this. Here, you can give your thoughts, and I'm going to read through this really quickly.
Yeah, I think for most people will agree this is probably the obvious solution and probably yeah, it's probably all good. I mean, it the idea of it, I'm trying to think of can you I know you're reading this right now. I'm going to interrupt your thoughts, but what's a current boss fight where you can attack during a transition phase? I'm trying to think of an example of that. It feels weird that you're able to do that. Like the boss is just like walking away from you and you're just like poking it in the back. I would almost prefer instead of that to just really speed up the transition phases or remove them altogether. Like, is there a reason why Sire has to walk forward like 10 tiles to go into the third phase from the second phase instead of just, can he just do it right there? And he can like do like a RAR or something so you know he's going into the next
Mhm.
phase. But
I
what
think
am I?
Chambers has I think it's Voss.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
like Tecton. Yeah,
yeah,
Tecton is what I was
Tecton.
thinking of. Yeah.
Also Vossa. No, not Vossa. Yeah, Vossa. The
Oh yeah, I
right.
was just walking around. You're just kind of hitting it.
Yeah. So like those kind of like transitionary phases. Technically, I'm trying to think of anything else that has. I can't think of
Yeah,
anything else.
that's what's funny though. Is like I'm kind of critical of this, but I like that. Like when Tecton's walking back and you're just like, come on, we can get him before he gets back, and then he becomes invulnerable. Um, so yeah, I'm fine with it. I think if I was doing it, I would want them to rework it in such a way that they just don't have those transition periods. But you know, the cool thing about the transition periods, it is 50% reduced damage. So what that does is you can still attack it knowing that you're going to be doing damage, but you also know that if you need to eat or pot up or something, that's the best time to do it still.
Yeah, for sure.
So that can add a little bit of depth to the fight, which is, you know, because that's the transition periods now. Yeah, you might as well just, you know, eat your food and stuff because you can't do anything.
Hmm.
So giving that, making it so that it's not like if it was full damage, you would, you know, it'd be like DPS loss, and you'd feel like you're trolling if you're eating during that phase. But having it at 50% feels like you can go either way on it. So
Yeah.
I'm talking myself into liking that more. But yeah, I think overall for this, it feels like it was kind of obvious and we all saw it coming, but it's still going to be a good change.
I'm gonna say one thing really quick. They actually deleted something from their original blog post that
Oh,
it is definitely missing. From the when I read it, the initial proposal was that uh, you would do a max hit on the vents. Demon Bane would one shot it, and you also the two back vents would not you wouldn't have to damage them. They would no longer be a part of the fight. But I don't see that
oh,
here
interesting.
anymore. So I wonder if they're still making you do all four. Because at the initial post it was you just do the front two and that's it. And then you start the boss
Huh.
fight. So I wonder if it looks like they changed their mind on that. But
I mean, I do prefer this because I mean, yeah, if you're going to hit big on them, that feels, I mean, yeah, if you're just running around hitting, you know, you get that, you know, gold tinged hit splat. Yeah, that feels great. I mean,
yeah,
I
I
think,
think having all four with the Demon Bane weapon is perfect. Like or
Yeah.
like just a max hit with your whatever weapon you're using, I think that's, or sorry, 50% max hit. I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I didn't see the necessary part, and that's what I had jotted down in my notes was I didn't think it was necessary to delete the back two, but it clearly is not in here anymore. So I am okay with that now.
Cool. Any more thoughts on this? I feel like there's not too much to say because it kind of feels like it was exactly what we expected.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I think it's a good change to Sire. I think it's a little refresh that's needed, makes it a little bit quicker. I'm a fan of it.
Cool. All right. Abyssal Sire rework. We will smash. I'll probably. So this is one last thing on this. They have it as 3 questions. Should we make it targetable during the transition phase? Should we increase its speed to reduce downtime? And should we shorten the lung phase by increasing the hits? So I would think. Let me think. Yes to the first one. Yes, and yeah, I guess I would say yes to all 3 of those.
Yeah, I'm a
So
yes to all of it. I think it's all fine.
cool. All right. So next, we're going to move on to the headline of this is something that has been kind of proposed in the community. Well, they hinted at, and then people latched onto what they were saying, and now they're officially proposing it. And this is something that my knee jerk reaction has always been against. And that's melee at Zulrah. So they, no, they don't mention it. So, so at RuneFest, they were talking about reworking halberds, and they had mentioned that that could potentially mean using the halberd at Zulrah. And I don't know. I've just always been against. Well, I mean, always in the like 2 months since RuneFest, I've been against that idea. It's just one of those things where I guess in my mind, melee is so pervasive in the game, and Zulrah's always been a boss that no matter what you do, no matter what gear they add, you couldn't melee it. So I don't know. It almost feels like it's losing something in my mind, but I haven't read this proposal yet, so we'll see what they have to say. So I'll start. After seeing some interesting results in League's Raging Echoes, we now want to make a potential change for the main game, allowing halberd attacks to damage Zulrah. Currently in the main game, Zulrah can't be damaged with melee at all, even with these weapons. We want to change that by introducing a new mechanic that allows players to engage Zulrah with melee directly. So what would this mean for you? If this change goes through, you'll be able to deal damage to Zulrah with halberds. However, before you start gearing up with your best melee setup, it's important to understand that this won't replace your traditional mage or range strategies. Does melee outcompete range or mage? In short, not exactly. We've tested the best main hand halberd available, the Nox halberd, paired with high tier gear like Torva and Oathplate. While melee offers some benefits, it doesn't outcompete the best in slot setups for mage or range. There is one exception. During the Crimson, the red phase, melee can outperform some magic setups. This means that depending on your gear, melee could be a viable alternative in this phase. If you're considering incorporating melee into your strategy, it might be worth checking your setups and running the numbers to see if it fits your playstyle. Okay, so jumping in here. I will take back everything I'm saying if the idea is that you can switch to all 3 styles for each of the 3 phases, because that almost off rip almost feels like what they had intended, because Zulrah switches to 3 different phases and you use magic or range, and the red phase you kind of just send it. It's never your best DPS phase. It never really feels good. You feel lucky if you hit. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Yeah, like I'm not super opposed to it, but yeah, my initial reaction is just like yours. Zulrah's been around forever. We've never meleeed Zulrah. Like we've always done major range, and so my initial reaction is like, do we really need this in the game? Like, is this something that we're really like do we really need to have this in the game? But I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm fine with it in theory, like because it's not being outperformed by best in slot gear for like major range, which makes me, I'm more comfortable with what they're saying now.
No, I'm really like how they're presenting this, because I really like that they're like essentially what they're saying is like yeah, guys, you can melee him. It's not going to be the best. But yeah, if that sounds fun to you, you can do that. Or like if you're, if you just put all of your money into melee gear, like sure, send it. Um, like I like that they're not adjusting any stats. They're not they're not making melee the meta. It's just like, yeah, they're kind of taking away, something I feel like me and Dills have talked about a lot is like that, like arbitrary, no explanation, just restriction of certain things in this game, where it's like they just didn't want you to be able to do that because they want you to do a different way of it, and it's really annoying. Zulrah, the T-bow having a damage cap is like something like that, where just like it's just that way for balancing. There's no reason logically, there's no reason lore wise, it's just that way. And that kind of is how melee is. Like, it's like, yeah, he's pretty much one tile away. Like, you should be able to use a halberd. So it's winning me over, I guess, is because they're not accommodating it to melee. They're just allowing it, which, going back to the clue scroll thing, we're saying like they took away an option. So they're only adding an option. They're not fitting the game to that, which is what's winning me over.
Yeah, I have no problem with it. I'd love to see like a DPS calc to like whatever numbers they're running with the Nox Halberd with like best in slot compared to like Bofa only, or the actual comparison is between everything. Because like,
well, here, let me
go ahead.
Let me read this next part, because that kind of is kind of what you're saying, and then I'll just finish out the reading of this and we can go back into it.
Yeah.
But when would melee actually be useful? Melee could be useful in specific situations, especially if your melee gear is significantly stronger than your mage or range setup. The Crystal Halberd's special attack could also help in finishing off phases, but it's not a game changer overall. What's the point of this? Ultimately, it's about offering players a fun alternative and giving you more ways to approach Zulrah. While it's not meant to replace the existing strategies, it's a fresh option for those who want to experiment or switch things up. We're always exploring new ideas and testing them to see what works best. This change would give players the freedom to try a different playstyle without drastically altering the core mechanics of Zulrah fights.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I should have read that first because that's kind of what I just said. But, yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I said what I said before I read this, because you just saw in real time, they completely won me over with how they're approaching this.
Yeah, I have no issues with it. I'd love to see like the calcs behind it, just because I like that sort of stuff. But I have no problem with people using melee if they really want to. If they have like a really bad mage setup, which again, I'm just curious to see like what is considered a bad mage setup and like when it would be better to use melee. Obviously, I just don't know those statistics now, but overall, like I think it's a decent change. I'd love to whack Zoller with a Chally spec, see how that goes. So I have no problem with it.
Yeah, I think I'll vote yes to this.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if it changes any, like, I don't think it'll change any iron metas because Nox Halley is like super late, right? I mean, for irons, it's pretty late game with Araxar.
Oh, you know what? You bring up a point that I actually am switching to a no, because this is just fuel to the fire of Dills in his quest to have his no both Iron Man account. And now he's gonna be, oh look, I don't even need it for Zulrah anymore. I can do a blowpipe skip instead of in my Addle. We need an intervention for Dills at some point. He's obsessed with this purging staff.
Yeah, we'll sit him down.
His Addle. He's he needs to have a talking to. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next thing, and this is something that I'll probably have to lean on you for, because this is not something I have much experience with in the game. So feel free. I'm gonna kind of power through this section, and you interrupt me.
No, it's okay. I think I'll wait to the end on this one. It's not super long, and I don't have too many points on it.
Okay. Not so challenge mode chambers. Next up, we've got something for all of you raiders out there. We're excited to introduce a new toggle in the raid creation interface that allows players to generate a challenge mode style layout for regular Chambers of Xeric raids. This means that the rooms would appear in the same predictable order, just like in a CM. So I guess for context, for people who don't know, Chambers of Xeric is their attempt at like a rogue style game where the layout is different every time. It's a randomized order of rooms, and then there's the quote unquote hard mode or challenge mode, which has it's every single room that's available all at once. And so what they're saying is that you could do a normal difficulty, but it would have all of those rooms. And I think the key word here is predictable. So where was I? While the bosses would still scale to the regular difficulty with no challenge mode like increased hit points, this option will offer a consistent layout for those who prefer it. So why should you care about this? Well, this change isn't just for speedrunners. It also offers valuable benefits for those looking to practice challenge mode mechanics in a less stressful environment. So it's easy challenge mode. I don't know. By having a fixed layout for all rooms, you can get comfortable with the flow of the raid, perfect your gear choices, and learn to use certain potions or tactics. This is especially helpful for newer players who want to practice CM procedures and familiarize themselves with the timing, preparation, and strategy without the stakes of a full CM raid. For speedrunners, this toggle provides a consistent layout, eliminating the need to reroll for certain rooms and making the whole process a bit smoother. It's a chance to refine strategies with few variables in play without the pressure of CM-specific challenges. For those who just want to learn every room or avoid re-rolling for specific layouts, this option provides a great alternative. You'll be able to practice each room in the same order and get the most out of your learning experience. Now you might be wondering, does this mean a new points meta? The answer is no. This change won't impact the current metas or strategies in Chambers. It is purely an option for those who prefer a more predictable layout, and while it could make raids slightly more efficient due to fewer prep requirements and no re-rolling, it won't change the overall dynamics of the raid. In essence, this change allows players to get a taste of challenge mode mechanics in a lower stakes setting, making a fantastic option for those looking to improve their raiding experience. Whether you're a seasoned speedrunner, a CM learner, or just someone who prefers a bit more consistency, this toggle is here to enhance your Chambers experience.
So off the rip, I truly don't really see a point in this. Just being 100% honest, challenge mode Chambers is already risk-free. Deaths don't cost anything. You have an unlimited amount of deaths in the raid itself. You can learn the raid by like brute forcing it if you have to. Like if you want to get past a certain room, you can theoretically brute force the room and learn another room if you want to. So I'm not really sure why they're saying that there's such high stakes in CMs. I don't know. Do you have a differing point on that?
No, I think you make a good point. Like I could, like if this was not so hard mode Tob, I could definitely see that, because hard mode Tob has a lot of different mechanics, and you're still paying, $100K if you die and you wipe the raid and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I could definitely see an argument for that. But yeah, like you're saying, challenge mode is, it's you have unlimited deaths there, in essence.
Yeah, and you have like that raid specifically, you can make as many potions as you need to. So in theory, you could stay in Chambers indefinitely until you learned whatever you want to learn.
Yeah.
Like so, it just seems weird to me that they're wanting to make it more like CM's more accessible, because it already is accessible for the most part. Like this doesn't change anything. This doesn't make the rooms any easier. CMs don't have any like weird mechanics or anything like that. Like it's just beefier.
Like hard mode Tob has different mechanics.
Yeah, hard mode Tob is completely different. TOA invocations make it completely different. This is like the exact same basically. So I don't know. I just think that's a little weird. And then when they touch about speedrunners, you don't want to run every single room as a speedrunner. You want a specific layout for speedruns. Like you want the least amount of rooms with the most optimal rooms possible. So making it more
Yeah.
consistent, doing every single room is not effective for speedrunning either. So it just seems like a really weird place for it to be. Like I don't see an issue in just running normal CMs, and then if you're a speedrunner, you're still going to be hunting for the perfect layout. So it just kind of seems like, why are we doing this? But I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not opposed to it. Like I'll vote yes to it if this is what people want. Like if it makes you feel less stressed doing a normal chambers rather than a CM, and that's how you want to learn it, then I mean, like I'm ultimately fine with it. It just seems kind of like, what's the point? But I don't
Yeah,
know.
my takeaway from this is definitely like even before you like just off of reading it, like it's almost like in the same category of a lot of like PvP updates for me. It's just like if other people want this, I never intend to engage with this. But if there are people who have a use for this and it's a good thing for the game, then I mean, sure, I don't care.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. So I'll vote yes to it. I have no other real like issues or anything else I want to say just besides like I don't know how this got brought up, but people want it, then good. Like I'll vote yes for it.
Yeah, I'll hit him with the like. I think there's a I choose not to answer or something. I'll do one of those.
Yeah, the little skip question button.
All right, get this boring stuff out of the way. I see a headline that says demonic gorillas, and I almost want to cry just looking at it. So I am very excited to see what this is. Um, so we have demonic gorillas. We're making some improvements to the demonic gorillas that we hope will make your trips a lot smoother and less frustrating. I'm on board. I'm already voting yes. First up, demonic gorillas will become non-aggressive once you've completed the Monkey Madness 2 quest. No more worrying about being constantly attacked, allowing you to take your time and focus on the fight without the hassle of being pounced on. Thank you. We're also standardizing how often they swap prayers. Right now, their behavior is a little unpredictable. They switch prayers after 50 damage taken or after 6 successful hits from the player. We're tightening that up. Moving forward, demonic gorillas will only switch their prayer after 70 damage is taken, and we're removing the 6 successful attacks entirely. This should make the fight more consistent and less frustrating, especially for players trying to optimize their kill speed or enjoy a smoother flow to the encounter. I love that every single part of this so far has said smoother. Like that is the intention for all of this, and I'm very happy because I like that.
Yeah.
Ultimately, these changes are all about making the demonic gorilla fight feel less like a grind and more like an enjoyable challenge. We can't wait to hear how they feel. Wait, we can't wait to hear how they feel.
Yeah, that's a weird way of saying that. It should
So
be
let
how
us know
you
your thoughts
feel.
after facing these beasts. Yeah, I think that's what they meant. Maybe that's Jagex talking internally. We can't wait to hear how they feel. So let us know your thoughts after facing these beasts. We're fairly sure you'll enjoy these changes, so we're planning on leaving this one unpolled, but we'll be monitoring your feedback closely. Yeah, I mean, what negative could you even come up with for this?
Yeah, I don't have any negatives. It just I mean, it makes demonics just that much more chill, less gear swaps. So I mean I have nothing against it. Makes it way better just in general. So I'm for it.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, we don't even have to say if we're voting on it or not.
Nope.
Well, I thank God for that. I mean, I would have preferred if it had just said we're reskinning tormented demons as demonic gorillas and giving them a demonic gorilla drop table, but you know, we can only be given so much.
Can only dream, right?
Okay, so, yeah, I can only dream. Moving on to something that definitely doesn't really catch my attention, but I'll be interested to read this. Chiseling for ether. We've proposed this change in the past, and ever since it's remained one of the most frequently requested follow-ups. I've never heard of this before, but okay. So we're bringing it back for a formal poll. Charging a Revenant weapon currently requires a hefty 1,000 Revenant Ether, and we've heard from many Iron players that the upkeep cost makes these powerful drops frustratingly difficult to use. It's time we gave you an additional source. We're proposing a new feature that lets you chisel down ancient statuettes into Revenant Ether, offering a solid alternative to simply trading them in for gold coins. This change allows you more flexibility. If you've already secured a Revenant weapon, this will be a new way to help sustain use of it. Oh, wow. So here's how the breakdown will work. So I won't read this table, but yeah, you can, or I'll read this little last part. We can talk about it. This isn't a new money-making method. This is a way to turn drops you may not need into fuel for the weapons you're already using. If you're someone who's deep in the wilderness grind, this should go a long way in making Revenant weapons more viable long-term.
Yeah, I think I'll say this for the listeners. We're not going to read the whole table, but essentially it equates to turning in the emblems for the ether, and it's at a rate of 500 GP per one ether. So pretty expensive ether, I would say. Um, I'm not an iron player, so I'm not gonna say like I'll kind of ask you this question. Would you pay 500 GP per ether if you had a wilderness weapon?
What is it at? Like, what is it normally at? Is it
GE
like way,
wise,
way
it's
cheaper?
172.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
That's already expensive.
yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
mean,
I mean that's like
maybe they're
500 GP
underplaying
per
this.
shot. I don't like
Yeah.
per whack. That's pretty crazy. And you have to have a minimum amount in there. So, but you're paying 500 GP per whack. I feel like that's pretty crazy.
So this is literally only an iron update then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like
This is
there's
not for
no reason a
mains.
main would ever interact with this.
No,
Yeah.
by no means.
Well, then I'm way more for it in that case. If it's like under, well, no, I mean not the iron only part, but the you're kind of saying it's like underpowered.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Okay, I
so
get
it's
what you're
like
saying.
um, it's one of those things where it's like you're not gonna want to do this, but if you just got your sixth totem and you're just pissed off that you haven't gotten the drop you want, it's like sure, turn it in for ether, but also like you turn them in for GP, which is something that will always be useful to your account.
Yeah,
So it's
I
not like
just
it's not like a Zora thing where you get a dupe and it turns into scales. Like this is something that you will all GP is something you'll always have a use for. But I'm kind of back on the Chambers thing where if there are people who are desperate for this, then it's fine and it doesn't it if you're saying the math works out way in favor of this, just buying like for mains to just buy them, then it's very similar to when they made it so that the ancient icons from Muspa could be broken down into essence. Like it's kind of it's just kind of like this natural dry protection that I've mentioned a couple times where like yeah, like if you get spooned on one thing and go dry on the other, then this is a system to um ensure that that kind of balances out. But I definitely don't care about this, and I mean, yeah, I'll take the GP 9 times out of 10.
yeah, I just don't see a world where somebody would forego the GP for the ether. But again, if this is a demand that people have really been wanting, I mean, like, so be it. Like, again, it doesn't affect me at all. It doesn't affect mains at all. This is just a purely an iron update, specifically if you're an iron that wants to do stuff in the wildy. So, I mean,
Yep.
I'll vote yes to it if people really want it. That's fine. But yeah, I have
Yeah, I
nothing
don't
really else
care
to
either
say
way.
about it.
Let's get to something that sounds a lot more interesting. New agility shortcuts. Yay. Always love agility shortcuts. All right, we know how much you love a good agility shortcut. I do love a good agility
Oh
shortcut.
yeah,
So we're looking to add even more ways to bypass those pesky fences, walls, and obstacles slowing you down. Here are some of the locations we're proposing. Castle Draken. Scale the wall one way like a true vampire hunting parkour expert. This does kill my theory that they were going to have this be a part of the Blood Moon Rises quest, but that's fine. For those who don't know, there's a master clue step that you'll probably just skip at Draken Castle Draken. that you have to go all the way to the edge of Darkmire, um, and go all the way along this wall and go up and down on this wall. It's is so annoying.
I think it's like a 4 minute
So
clue step. I think something
yeah,
like
it
that.
is one of the most. It's like it's a one step like master clue step that's longer than probably most of the 3-step ones. It's so annoying. Um, so yeah, great. A agility shortcut there. Hopefully that's a pretty high requirement. Um, I want to get to a point in this game where every single agility level unlocks a new shortcut. And so if they can make each of these a level that doesn't currently have one, I think that would be awesome. Varrock Castle Garden. Skip the long walk around the palace for a new shortcut over the fence. Requires 35 agility and completion of the Garden of Tranquility. Wait, is that like the fence to get into the Garden of Tranquility?
I don't know. Barrock Castle Garden. It wasn't very specific.
I mean, that's the garden. You do that
Yeah.
quest, and then you never go there again, right?
Yeah.
Why would you need a shortcut there?
There's a
Huh.
there's a clue step.
Oh, all right. Then it always comes back to that, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's
Okay,
a.
fine.
I can't remember what tier it is, but there is a clue
Proud
step that's
Spire.
in there.
Okay. Proud Spire, which is a word I'm seeing for the first time in my life. A shortcut for both directions to get to the top of the mountain in Varlo. Oh, is that Huey Codal? That's got to
Sure.
be a Huey, right? A shortcut to get to the top of the mountain in Varlamore. I mean, that is an annoying like run up the mountain, even if you have the teleport. So I'm assuming that's what they're proposing. Um, yeah,
It's
I'm
the
gonna
it's the
go
it's
on.
the
I'm gonna
mountain by Huey. So it's not the mountain
not
at Huey, but the one to
what?
the east. I don't know.
Okay, huh? Okay. Well, I'm much more excited about this next one. Fossil Island, a shortcut from the tower down to the small island for when you just don't feel like taking the long way around. Thank goodness. This is it, like getting to like seaweed runs. It always feels a little backtracky. Um, I don't know, like you're so close to it, and then you teleport all the way to the was it Mushroom Meadow, and then you have to run over. So I don't know, yeah, and it like Fossil Island just has a weird layout, and I think this is a great change and definitely something that a lot of people have asked for a long time. And then we have finally Mauritania Slayer Tower. 2 new shortcuts to make your Slayer grind smoother. A low-level agility shortcut for quicker access to Banshees. A mid-level shortcut to climb straight from the ground floor to the top, skipping the endless staircases. So those are the agility shortcuts. What are your thoughts on them, Mitty? How would you rank them?
Oh, I like them all.
Yeah.
Big fan of the Castle Draken one. I'm with you. I do hope it's a pretty high agility level. I would imagine that it is. Because the current highest agility level is 96, and that's to skip one of the triple steps for a master clue. Or not skip, but make it quicker. So I would imagine that this Castle Draken one is mid to high 90 requirement. I would imagine. So I hope that
Mm-hmm.
it's a high requirement. I mean, I don't even have the agility level to use that one, so it would suck if I don't have the agility level to do it. But I would definitely grind agility for it because that would be a huge, huge QOL. Because I hate that. That step
Mm-hmm.
is the worst. But besides that, I think all of them are good. I'm all for agility shortcuts. I think it makes you train the skill, and it's one of the only benefits of the skill. So I'm a huge fan of just add shortcuts anywhere. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, it's interesting that only the Mauritania one has a proposed like level range, which I feel like that's kind of a big part of voting for these, right? Like, yeah, like the Fossil Island one, if that's like 15 agility, that feels overpowered. But if it's like 70 agility, then it's like, like I think one of the best things about RuneScape and agility shortcuts is a great example is the idea of making something intentionally frustrating so that when you unlock the better way of doing it, it feels that much better. Um, So if that was something that you grinded 70 agility for, I would be down for that for sure.
Yeah, I think they do a pretty good job normally with the agility requirements. Like, they do actually have a requirement for the Varrock Castle Garden. It says requires 35 agility. So that's another one that
Oh yeah.
I think that one actually
Yeah,
might be
that
a
feels
little
fitting.
low, but I mean, ultimately, that one's not really saving that much time. Like, the Castle
Yeah.
Dragon one needs to be high because it saves a lot of time. That'll save like
Yeah.
minutes, as compared to some of these where it just saves like 15 seconds here and there. That one's like a
And
huge one.
the Castle Draka one definitely needs to be like the kind of thing where there's a rope at the top and you have to go kick it down because like everybody has to experience that agony at least
Oh
once.
yeah.
it's a it's a growing experience. Well, cool. Yeah, I am always in favor of agility shortcuts and I like every one of these. So that is the well, that was they called that PVM reworks. I don't think they planned this out very well. That they have they have agility shortcuts under the PVM reworks section, but okay. Their next header, something that I'm just having a gut negative reaction to because it's the Grand Exchange. Um, Banking in the Grand Exchange. This is interesting. I honestly have no idea where this is going. We all love a good bank rework, and this time around, we're bringing some quality of life upgrades to make your time in Gielinor a little bit smoother. Whether you're speed depositing loot, adjusting offers at the Grand Exchange, or just enjoying a more consistent interface experience, these updates aim to reduce friction and save you clicks. Grand Exchange Great exchange edits. Markets can move fast, and we want to make sure you're not left behind. We're working on a feature that will let you edit your Grand Exchange offers directly from the offer status page without needing to manually cancel and re enter the whole thing. To be fully transparent, this will cancel and resubmit your offer in the background, and your position in the purchase line. They say queue, but we're American. Your position in the purchase line will be updated accordingly. But all of this will happen automatically, no more faffing with manual reentry. It's the same functionality, but made far less clunky and much faster. So that is another example of a problem um, of why can I not say these words together? An initial negative reaction being changed as I'm reading this because I was going to say the only reason that I think it's interesting to have to cancel it is it moves you to the back of the line, but it's going to do that automatically. So I think that's interesting. But I have left the main life behind me and I haven't used the GE for months. What do you feel about this, Mitty?
I'm for it. Like, I think now it doesn't specify if it's for buying and selling or if it's just for buying or just for selling. I would assume with the whole queue system, it's at least for the buying portion of it. I'm not 100% on the selling side, but as a main, the thing that's the most annoying is if you're trying to quick buy something and then it doesn't buy for the offer that you put it in when you spam the percent up like 5 times, and then you have to go retype in the item and refine the item, then put in whatever price and then rebuy it. So I'm a fan of I can just change it right then and there and spam up whatever like GE price it needs to go up by. I'm fine with it. I think it's a good addition. It's not going to save
It
me a
kind of
ton of
feels
time,
like
but it is QOL.
I kind of feel like this is like the way they're describing it. It's not going to change anything about like the way the system works, and it almost makes me feel like why are they even pulling this? Because it feels like it's just cleaning up the interface, and if it's moving you to the back of the line, nothing about the way the GE works is changing, and it's kind of like just put this in the game. But they're pulling it. Feels unnecessary, but I don't want to ever complain about pulling too much because I would rather them do that than pull too little.
Yeah, I will say it is an interface change. So I'm very much for like, yeah, just change the interface to make it a little bit better. But then you're right, I get scared. Like, what if 15 years down the road we're changing interfaces to like something completely different than what it was today, and we're like we hate it. So I definitely get the polling, but yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
this is 100% yes. Like, please change the interface and make it easier for us to buy stuff. I'm all for that.
All right, I'm going to increase our pace of this by about 10% because I just saw how much of this is left. But as always, hope you guys are enjoying and not bored to tears by this. I mean, I will talk about QOL all day, every day. I love this stuff. But let's move on to empty bags, sacks, boxes, and pouches. Ever wrap up a trip, head to the bank, and realize you've got to manually empty a mountain of containers just to get everything stashed away? Yes, I have. It's a small thing, but we know it adds up, and so we're proposing a much more convenient way to handle it. We'd like to introduce a new empty containers button to the bank and deposit box interfaces. This would act much like the current deposit looting bag option, but with expanded functionality. With just one click, you'll be able to empty all of your relevant containers, including coal bag, essence pouches, herb sack, seed box, plank sack, log basket, fish barrel, shade remains coffin. We're also planning to make this feature customizable so you can toggle which containers you want this button to affect via the bank or deposit box settings. Whether you want everything emptied at once or just a few specific items, the control is in your hands.
Vote yes.
Yeah,
That's it. Yeah.
yeah.
Don't need to talk about it much. That's great.
Good, great. All right, rebuy feature. We're also exploring a repeat last offer feature for the Grand Exchange. This would remember the last item you purchased, including its price and potentially the quantity, and give you the option to recreate the offer in just a few clicks. It's a perfect for regular rebuys or anyone wanting a quicker way back to the market. These tweaks are designed to help keep things clean and convenient. No hidden strings, just smarter systems. And there's no pull for that. So yeah, that's honestly kind of like I was saying with the Grand Exchange edit. It seems like that should, yeah, it's not pulled. Great. Standardized reward and deposit interfaces. Ever notice how some reward chests and deposit menus have their options in a different order every time? One moment, is this literally just about making, okay. All right, I'll stick to it. I'll read it. One moment, inventory is first. Next time it's bank, and sometimes discard sneaks in there when you least expect it. It's like trying to grab your usual groceries only to find the entire store layout has changed overnight, which they do all the time. So we're fixing it. Moving forward, we're standardizing these interfaces so that options always appear in a consistent order. Whether you're looting a raid chest, collecting minigame reward, or interacting with similar menus, you'll always know exactly where to click. We're planning to leave these last two changes unpulled as they just make sense. Yep. But let us know if you have any feedback. All right, cool.
No feedback. All good.
All right, so here we go. Notoriously, where the real changes happen. Other changes. Not every update has to be a grand spectacle. Sometimes it's just the little changes that make the biggest impact on your day-to-day adventures in Gillinor. Whether it's saving your hard-earned chimchampas, making bonfires a viable fire-making method, or fixing some bizarre mechanics that defy all logic, these tweaks are designed to make your life a little bit easier. Here's what we've got lined up. Chinchampa insurance. Losing Chinchampas to a disconnect or PVM death feels awful. You worked hard for those squeaky little explosives, and it's frustrating when they just disappear into the void. We're changing that. We want to make any unprotected chins go straight to your gravestone or death pile, just like normal items, so you'll have a chance to recover them. We're also removing the destroy option because who wants to immediately destroy a cute little Chinchampa? Not you. With this change, they would have a drop option instead. In PVM, your chins stick around just like any other loot. In PvP, no changes. Your opponent still gets your unprotected chins fair and square. Yeah, I mean, I did my first armadillo kill about an hour ago on this account, and that's a place where people have notoriously lost a ton of chins. I guess to clarify for people who don't know, I guess the logic was always because Chinchampas are living creatures. When you died, they would just run away, which in game translated to you could have, 100 mil worth of Chinchampas that if you died, you just lose, which is kind of a fun thing from a lore perspective, but from a functional game perspective, has always been kind of weird. So, yeah, I feel like, am I missing anything of why this isn't an obvious yes?
It's one of those like nostalgia things that like people are, it's always been like this, so why are you changing it now? Because, I mean, now the thing is you can bring an unlimited amount of chins anywhere if you want to. So, I mean, I'm gonna vote yes for it, but I know that like maybe some HLC people may not like it because it's change to what it's always been. But I have no quarrels.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're pulling the destroy versus drop option. That should just be a change. That's easy. I don't know why they would do that.
I mean, the only reason I can see to have a destroy option is just if you're trying to keep them from a PK or getting them, but like you're not going to be able to do that in combat anyway.
Yeah, but then at that point, just drop them. It's the same thing. But
Oh, in the current system, it's the same thing.
yeah,
Oh, I see. Okay.
so
All right. Well, yeah, we're getting into the nitty gritty here. We have, although this one is actually interesting, bonfires, a fair XP rate. Sorry, this is all interesting, but a fair XP rate. Bonfires exist as a more relaxed way to train fire making, but in reality, they're barely used. The XP per log is so low that almost no one bothers with them, meaning they serve little practical function in the game. To address this, we're adjusting bonfires so they grant the same XP per log as manually lighting fires while still upkeeping their overall XP per hour than individual log burning. This change won't make bonfires the new meta, but will make them more viable option for those who prefer a laid back training method without feeling like they're missing out. So this is interesting because this is something that this gives a lot of credence to the RuneScape boomers because this feels very foot in the door. They introduced bonfires in old school RuneScape, and it was the XP was so low that everybody said, "Well, I mean, what are you complaining about? It's not like it's changing any metas or anything." And now they're slowly upticking the XP of it, and I don't know. That's my initial reaction of like how many other things in the game are going to be introduced with like low rates, and that's what gets them by, and then over time they get increased. But I will immediately interrupt myself by saying that this was an update that was dead on arrival because it was so useless. I think it gives you like a third of the logs XP.
yeah, it's pretty
much
bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad on
Yeah.
arrival. So like, and this is one of those like skills that it really doesn't matter in general. Like, I mean, most people are going to go to Wintertod and get hundreds of thousands of XP per hour instead of sitting here at a bonfire AFKing it. But it just gives a more viable AFK option so that you're not just like burning a bunch of money while doing it. Now you're getting the same amount of XP as you would if you were lighting it, but they can significantly slow it down to make the XP rates definitely not better than normally lighting them, but not like abysmal.
Some people might go as far to say that fire making doesn't even need to be a skill in this game, but we don't have to go there. So yeah, I'll vote yes to this. Just a little more XP from bonfires. I mean, I'm always looking for things to AFK. So it is cool that fire making could have an AFK that's not a complete just GP sink.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Like,
Um,
I think as long as the XP rates are fine, which I guess that I don't really like how they're not saying any of that stuff in these poll questions.
yeah,
But
just changing it in general.
yeah, but it does say that it's going to be lower XP compared to lighting them individually. I'm just hoping that it's but Jagex does a pretty good job for the most part of keeping XP rates like at a good rate. So yeah, I'll vote yes to it. Will I do it? Maybe. I don't really know, but it'll be an option.
All right, my dedication to reading every word of this is floundering when I see the gout tuber change. So, unless you have anything to say, it looks like they're just going to fix the way the gout tubers drop. It, we're
I
getting
got
into the
nothing to
weeds
say.
here.
Yeah,
Okay, all right, I'm gonna skip it. And and additionally, we have Incando hammer on Entrana, so you can't bring it because it's a wieldable hammer. You can't currently bring it on Entrana, which does not allow any weapons or anything. I have nothing to say about this. Do you?
I just can't believe that somebody tried to do this and got upset enough to contact Jagex, and now Jagex is fixing it. That's pretty crazy. There's got to be like maybe 10 people that have ever done that in their life.
This is legitimately got it. Like this should have just been like an actual other changes that
Yeah.
was at the bottom of like tomorrow's update, and no one would ever say anything about it.
Yeah.
It's weird that they're pulling this.
It literally doesn't even make sense to poll it. But we're probably spending too much time talking about how it shouldn't be polled.
Okay, so that was other changes, and now for some reason there's also miscellaneous, which okay. Um, so we're gonna speed run these. Okay, we have auto queuing bird's nest. With this update, click once on a bird's nest, and now they'll automatically open. Oh, great. Um, Mitty, I'm going to read it. I'm going to react, and then if you want to jump in, say anything. If not, I'll move on.
I'll just give you the oh cool.
Okay. Keeping a bird's nest. If you get a beginner clue scroll from a bird's nest in a member's world, you'll be able to keep it. You'll be able to keep the nest instead of it disappearing. No more losing valuable nests while you chase those clues.
Yippee.
Yeah. Okay. Streamline settings for new players. For new players, we're making the settings easier to navigate. We'll hide some of the options that aren't immediately relevant, so you're not overwhelmed by the full range of settings at the get-go. It's a simpler, less intimidating experience for newcomers. Huh. What was the what was that? Was it in the most recent QL update that they had
Yes.
like you can say at Tutorial Island?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was.
Okay. Okay, so hopefully that's tied in, those things are tied together. So if you say I am experienced, it will give you the full settings. So if,
yes.
Obviously when I make my 10th account, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
it should be linked in. I think that's what they mean by new players. It should be linked in whenever you choose on Tutorial Island.
Cool. Did you know tip in the chat? Get a helpful did you know tip when you log in. From useful hints to fun facts, these tips will appear in the chat and you'll be able to customize the colors and the settings. Not your thing, not your thing? No worries, you can toggle it off at any time. It's a little something to help you along in your journey. I will toggle that off.
I'm toggling it on. I'm going to see what the tips are, and if they're terrible, toggle it off.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'll give it a chance.
Like,
I mean, maybe it can be like a game.
Funny,
like,
yeah. Like, you never know.
There are always, you know what they should do? They should have it tied in with what we just talked about. Like if you say you're new, it'll give you generic tips. But if you say you're experienced, it should give you some like, it should give you some really niche stuff that like really testing your game knowledge.
Yeah, I'd be okay with it. But then at a certain point, like they'd stop updating it and then it'd just get on the same rotation. Boring. So
man, they start off with 5 of them.
Yeah.
Oof. Wise Old Man updates. The Wise Old Man will now accept a wider range of quest related items and use a service to remove items from your bank. Cool.
Yep.
Cool. I've never used that because it's always been outdated, so I guess that's nice. We're adding an empty option to the Shades of Mortan coffin. Okay, great. No more delays at fishing spots. Say goodbye to annoying delays when a fishing spot moves while you're running toward it. Now you can click to move right to the new location without any interruptions. I guess I didn't realize it did that. Like, I guess you click on one and then it goes away and your guy just stops.
Yeah.
So what is that? I guess it'll be like if you click on a door and then you do like some fletching, your guy will still run there and just stand in front of the door. Okay. Seems nice. Toggle for snow effects. For players who find the snow effects on Waterbirth Island uncomfortable, we're adding a setting that allows you to... What? Uncomfortable?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Accessibility matters.
It was very weird when I read it.
But, accessibility matters. We hope this update will give you the option to enjoy the game without the actual visual distractions. Great.
Cool.
Okay. In the Giant's Foundry, if you nail the bonus action tick perfectly, you'll recover a portion of any missed quality. Oh, I like that. This should make your bonus actions even more rewarding, give you a little extra for your precision. Oh, that's great. Okay, so just in case people don't know, so Giant's Foundry, the whole idea is you're making this like fancy sword for giants. And if you ever make a mistake, it gets taken off, like there's a bar of like your perfection. And if you make any mistakes, you lose that like perfection, and that will affect your like reward at the end of every sword. And it's so frustrating. I mean, Giant's Foundry needs its own entire QOL pool, but that's a really cool way of fixing a lot of problems all at once by making it so that you can have a way of regaining some of that. I really like that.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I haven't really done too much Giant's Foundry, but I'm again happy with anything like that. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I like that. No more delay with cat chasing rats, which is okay. So I was actually, I was doing the behemoth ones, but this is actually part of the reason why I don't do the normal like Hellcats. But we're fixing the pesky delay caused by cats chasing rats. Your character's actions will no longer be delayed during this animation. Once again, word of the day, making it smoother to get things done. Great.
Yep, I'm happy with that.
Removing random delays in the game is the best type of update. Updated trap placement. We've improved the placement of hunting traps at various spots, making it easier to set up and more efficient. Okay, cool. I like that. Stackable hunter traps. Say goodbye to inventory clutter. Ooh. All hunter traps are now stackable in your inventory. This will make it much easier to carry and deploy traps without constantly needing to go back to the bank. Less space, more traps. What's not to love? Nothing. I love that.
Yep, I'm happy with that.
Small meat pouch near banks. Okay. You'll be able to use the small meat pouch near banks. All right, great. I'm just going to move on from that. You'll no longer have a random chance to find nothing when searching the Tower of Life crates during the quest. Did we really need to put that in this? All right. And finally, the warmth overhead bar in Wintertide will now be made narrower to avoid visual clutter. Wow, the very last thing on here is giving me the hardest time. Okay, they're going to make the bar smaller at Wintertide. That should change everything. Okay, so wow, we really petered out at the end there, but I mean, it did say they were miscellaneous. And there were some cool ones in there. You know, just like I wish the world didn't work the way it did, because that miscellaneous section, if they were doing updates like that for the rest of the game, I would be happy. I don't need like a new skill, new boss. These little efficiency, optimizations, that's my favorite stuff in the game. They didn't need to mention that they're going to change the size of the bar at Wintertide, but that is the end of this entire blog. Wow, what a chunker though. My goodness.
One of the biggest
I don't know if I've ever seen
ones ever.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Good to see. Like, and it wasn't just like they spent all of their time on stackable clues. No, this was like a lot of good QOL changes in my opinion. Like, I'm happy with a lot of them. Like, some of them don't really affect me, but others I think are great. So I think it was a good blog overall.
What would you say is, like, if you could have, it's Tuesday night, so in about 9 hours will be the system update. Well, if you could pick one of these to happen tomorrow, which one would you pick?
Oh gosh, man, you really just put me on the spot here. It's got to be the hammers on Entrana. Gotta have it.
Yeah.
No,
I know. I've been waiting for it.
I would say the agility shortcuts. I love agility shortcuts. I think if everybody's cool with them passing, which I'm 100% sure that all of them are going to pass.
Yeah.
That's what I would definitely say. And I think we could add more anywhere. Like, just, don't give me just like 5 shortcuts. Give me like 15. Like, I want all the shortcuts everywhere. I love it.
I'm 100% sure that it'll pass, but I'm 100% sure that it won't pass with 100%, because anything that makes the game like a notoriously hard grind easier, there's definitely the community that is fighting against that.
Oh yeah, and there's always the people that just want to vote no when they know something's going to pass, so that they're in the minority.
Yeah, like, I mean, they should definitely make it so UAMs can't vote on this banking thing, because like they're just going to spite vote no on that. They're just mad they can't bank. Well, okay. Well, that is, man. I tried to go as fast as keep a steady pace on as possible, and we're still looking at a 2-hour episode. It's just man, we love to yap.
Yes, we do. It's my favorite thing, QOL and yapping. Like, what's better?
Yeah. Oh man, the two greatest things coming together. So yeah, that's the Pull 84. I mean, what a wow. This changes everything. But yeah, I'm very excited to see where this goes. This is one of those things where it feels like I said before, by the time we even release this episode, it'll probably be completely unrecognizable from the blog that we're reading now. And then by the time it comes into the game, in a good way though, like, I mean, I obviously want them to release the best version of these things, and I like that they're listening to the community. But Yeah, so I think that's everything. This is, just a emergency pod. I mean, I didn't even know I was going to be recording this until, this morning. And so that's kind of all we got. Me and Dills we have two of our smasher passes in the tank. Spoiler alert, our most recent, that one that we recorded, we got through 4 bosses. So I hope you
Oh
guys like the smasher pass because we're going to be we're going to be doing them for a while. um but I'm really enjoying him. Dills is really enjoying him, so I hope you guys are enjoying him too. Um, but yeah, thanks for listening. Obviously, thank you, Mitty, so much for coming on short notice. I know that you're here because if you weren't here, you would be in a VC having this exact same conversation.
yep.
Um,
Exactly.
and I would have been doing the same thing. I would have been right there with you. But yeah, thank you so much for coming back
Of
on.
course, yeah. Love being here. Love talking about it. Like I said, I think it was a really good post. I'm happy with a lot of the stuff. I'm curious to see where the stackable clues go, but um, we will definitely see.
Yep. All right. Well, that's all from us. Thank you guys for listening. And we will be back to, well, unless there's another crazy update that we have to get on here really quick, but we will be back to our regularly scheduled program very soon. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
All right, and I clicked the stop button, right? All right.